December 2022. Florida Everglades. A discovery that left biologists in shock. They were tracking something they had been following for 6 years. Something called Loki, a name that would soon become legendary in the Florida swamps. The biologists, experienced experts from the Conservancy of Southwest Florida, had dedicated years of their careers studying these creatures. Loki was special, not just for his impressive size, but for the scientific importance he represented. But when they arrived at the location that fateful day, they found a scene that seemed straight out of a crime movie. A scene that would completely change our understanding of what was happening in that ecosystem. What had happened to Loki would reveal a secret war taking place right under our noses in the Florida swamps. A war where predator and prey switch roles, where nature writes its own revenge script. But before revealing what happened to Loki, you need to understand the story behind one of the greatest biological invasions in North America. A story that began seemingly innocently, but transformed into an ecological nightmare. We're talking about Burmese pythons, snakes, that can reach over 16 feet in length and weigh more than 130 pounds. Native to Southeast Asia, these giants arrived in Florida as exotic pets. In the 80s and 90s, having a python as a pet became a trend among exotic animal collectors. Adorable 6-inch hatchlings soon transformed into snakes of 13, 16, even 20 feet in length. And that's when the problem began. The problem started when irresponsible owners released these snakes into the wild. Add to that devastating hurricanes like Andrew in 1992, which destroyed breeding facilities and pet shops, releasing hundreds of these predators, and we have the perfect recipe for an ecological catastrophe. The Everglades became the perfect paradise for them. Tropical climate that resembled their homeland. Incredible abundance of prey that had never seen a python before. Rivers and swamps ideal for hiding, and no natural predators. Absolutely none. Imagine a supreme predator species arriving in a world where nothing knows how to defend against it. That's exactly what happened. Since the 2000s, it had been estimated that there were thousands, at least 100,000 Burmese pythons in the Everglades. They caused an unprecedented ecological collapse. Some populations of small and medium-sized native mammals like rabbits and raccoons dropped by up to 99%. Muskrats practically disappeared. Aquatic birds, which had nested peacefully for millennia, now face a threat that came from the other side of the world. These killing machines can swallow prey the size of an entire deer. They're capable of opening their jaws to the point of dislocating their bones, allowing them to devour animals twice the diameter of their head. They have no limits, no fear. They're more patient than any other predator. Or at least that's what we thought. Now let's go back to that December 2022 day. Loki wasn't just any animal. He was a 13-foot, 50-pound Burmese python. A true giant, even by his species standards. The researchers used Loki as a spy through a surgically implanted GPS tracker. It's a brilliant technique. Males like him lead researchers to females during breeding season, helping with population control. For 6 years, Loki had been an invaluable involuntary collaborator in the fight against his own species. It was a cold morning by Florida standards. Temperatures had plummeted in the previous days, something unusual for December in a subtropical region. The biologists followed the GPS signal, expecting to find Loki coiled with a female, as so many times before. But on that cold December day, when they arrived at the tracker signal, they found something shocking. Loki's body was there, but his head had been ripped off and buried under pine needles. The scene seemed to have come from a criminal investigation manual. Precise bite marks, coagulated blood, and most intriguingly, the behavior of burying the head separately from the body. What would be capable of doing this to a 13-foot python? An animal that devours 6-foot alligators like they were appetizers? The answer will surprise you, but first, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any episodes of Nature's Mysteries. Today you'll discover how nature is writing its own revenge story in the Everglades. Loki's killer was a bobcat. A Florida bobcat. A feline that weighs between 13 to 40 pounds had managed to take down a 50-pound 13-foot snake. Wild feline experts were called to investigate. The biologists installed a camera at the location. And the next day, there he was, the bobcat returning to his buried prey. Typical behavior of big cats that store food for later. The hidden camera footage was spectacular. An adult bobcat, cautious but confident, checking the location, sniffing the air, clearly recognizing his territory and his conquest. It was like watching a documentary about African big cats, but right there in North America. But here's the plot twist that makes this story even more fascinating. Bobcats are also victims of this invasion. Recent studies show that pythons are devastating bobcat populations in two devastating ways. As direct impact, pythons attack and kill bobcat kittens and can prey on adults too, as well as threaten through direct competition for territory. As indirect impact, and perhaps even more devastating, pythons eat the same prey as bobcats. Rabbits, rats, birds, opossums, everything lynx have hunted for thousands of years. With less food available, fewer bobcats can survive and reproduce successfully. Scientific research shows that when there are more than 3 pythons per square mile, bobcat presence decreases drastically. It's a frightening correlation that demonstrates the real impact of this biological invasion. But the data is even more alarming. In areas most affected by python invasion, bobcat populations recorded declines of up to 87%. Decades of evolution and adaptation being destroyed by a species that should never have arrived there. But Loki's story represents something bigger. Nature is starting to fight back. And spectacularly. Experts believe Loki was caught off guard during a cold snap. Pythons, being cold-blooded, become slow and vulnerable in low temperatures. It's as if nature had given a window of opportunity for native predators. And native predators are learning to exploit this weakness brilliantly. Black bears have also been caught killing pythons, using their brute strength to crush the snakes before they can counterattack. Alligators are adapting to hunt them, developing ambush techniques specific to pythons. Even birds of prey are taking python hatchlings, something that was never documented before the invasion. It's like a point for the home team. Our native animals are fighting back. Each victory, like Loki's, represents not just an individual eliminated, but a learning that can be passed to future generations. After decades of ecological massacre, the Everglades are showing signs of resistance. The ecosystem is rebalancing, finding creative and surprising ways to deal with the invaders. Loki's death wasn't just an isolated case, it was a symbol. A symbol that even when everything seems lost, nature finds a way. Evolution doesn't stop. Adaptation is constant. The bobcats, who were losing the war for 2 decades, are learning to turn the game around. From victims to predators, from prey to hunters, from threatened species to resistance force. Because in the end, in the Everglades, only the most adaptable survive. And it seems our native felines are ready for the fight. Despite this, the best way to seek control or reduce the established python population continues to be human removal. Control programs capture thousands of them annually, but nature is proving it also has its own solutions. And you? What did you think of this plot twist? Comment down below and don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories from the wild.